Great. Saram, everyone. We'll start with three
Hi
O.
Ram. Hi Ram.
Om. Saram. So
Hi Ram.
this started basically last week. We started two books, one called as Bhagavata Vahini and another called as Sutra Vahini, and I sent both these books basically on the in the
Vedant.
study group, and it is freely available for everybody. It can be picked up from Google as well, and the idea was wanted to do the Brahma Sutras. But for doing the Brahma Sutras, just doing only the Brahma Sutras might be a little bit more complicated and it'll be difficult to understand, and it might get a little more too much knowledge based. So, what the idea that Swami gave me
Vedant.
was, why not
Very,
do
very
a
good.
Smriti with a Shruti? So Smriti here basically that we are doing is Bhagavatam, and from the Smriti, basically we will take examples to learn the Shruti. Shruti here that we are doing is Brahma Sutras. So we use the Smriti, the stories from the Smriti, to understand the Shruti. And that is what Smritis were actually done for. The Smritis were actually done, Ramayan. If you see, then Ramayan was actually done so that you can understand the Shruti, the Vedas. Every character in Ramayan, for example, exemplified something that made us understand the teachings from the Vedanta. So, in the same way, this one will also be Bhagavatam, and the characters from the different Bhagavatam. We will take it and extrapolate it so that we can understand the Brahma Sutras better. So the first half of the study circle will be Bhagavatam. So it will be stories. So that's the reason why you have Krishna, Sai, everybody joining in, so that it's lovely stories of the Lord. And then after the first half, if people don't want to go into the Brahma Sutras, if they want to drop off, I don't mind, feel free. I know it's a pretty complicated topic, delving into the Brahman and everything like that. So if kids want to drop off, by all means, feel free to drop off. There is no problem. Okay. So last week we started about Bhagavatam, and we started the first. We told that we will deal with 11 sutras from the Brahma Sutras, 11 key sutras that we are going to actually deal with. Aphorisms. That's what it's called. So, sutra means it's that which has few words only, very few words, but it reveals vast meanings. So it has big meaning. That's how it has been actually defined. So that's what we started. And last time it was Atato Brahma Jignasa. That was our first sutra. Did anybody manage to read the first two chapters of Bhagavatam and the first chapter of Sutra Vahini by any chance in the last 3 weeks? No? Fine. I would.
Read Atadu. Atadu.
Athato Brahma Jignasa. I will.
Brahmaji.
Yes,
It
yes,
is
yes.
it is there in the book that I have actually sent, and I would recommend personally if you find time within the next 3 weeks, because we only meet up once in every on the third week of every month. So when we meet up on the third week, this topic, Bhagavatam is only stories, so no problem. You can pick it up. There is no issues. But with regards to Sutra Vahini, the more we study, the more we can understand a little bit more. You can actually ask questions as well. So the first it will go via those chapters as Swami has done anyway, so that way it is easier for us, and also it is easy for you to actually read after the study circle goes. So first half an hour will be Bhagavatam. So last week Bhagavatam story, it was about the uterine bro. You remember uterine bro, the word, the brother in the uterus. Who's the brother from the uterus? So there is this boy. Basically, you remember that story where the arrow is coming and the boy is inside as a fetus, and then comes
Oh,
Krishna. And when Krishna comes out, what does he?
oh, Parishit, Parishit.
Yeah, Parikshit is
Yes,
the fetus. Krishna comes out, and what does he do?
yes.
He cuts that arrow, and the arrow breaks into hundreds of different pieces. But Parikshit actually says, what is going on in the mind of Parikshit at that time when we discussed about it? Um, yes, Krishna, you're putting your hand up. What's the matter?
Um, I know, even though I didn't come. Thank you. Bye.
Yes, you have touched base on the first chapter. Yes. So we spoke about Bhagavata Vahini, what is Bhagavatam, and all that stuff. So this Parikshit is basically in the womb of Uttara, and then Krishna comes and helps. And what does this baby think about? The baby thinks about, where is this bro coming from? So he thinks it's his bro, mainly because the fetus knows, the baby only knows that particular uterus and nothing else. And from inside, Parikshit always thought as a baby, what was he thinking? He was only thinking that he is the only baby there. But suddenly from the bottom, some other baby comes, or some other person comes. And that person has excellent resplendence, effulgence. And what does he do? Within that second, not even a second, he breaks that arrow that is coming to hurt this baby into several pieces. And what's the next thing? First thing is he's seeing this divine being and with so much effulgence coming and breaking the arrow. And then he sees that he thinks immediately, where does this boy come from? So somebody else, one more brother is there in this uterus other than me. Okay, so he is my uterine brother. That is what he thinks in Sanskrit, uterine bro. And then when he actually thinks, the second thing that actually dazzles him is the effulgence with this brother, who's Krishna. And third, when he's looking, when the arrows hit, and the arrow goes into breaks into different pieces, hundreds of pieces. But then the hundreds of pieces have disappeared. So where did the hundreds of pieces go? So if the arrow has been hit, it has broken, where did it go from here? So Parikshit is actually saying, oh my God, inside where I'm living, in this place, which is the uterus, there are so many mysteries. Okay, one, somebody else is also there in this place. Second, what is there? The arrows are going somewhere, it's getting disappeared. Where are they going? So people ask, is it possible? Because even if the particular arrow breaks, how did it disappear? With the things. I remember a very beautiful thing that happened with Satyasai, with Swami. I've shared this, I think, before. One of the students, basically, he was seated in the back row of the Kulwant Hall, in the back, total back. And Kulwant Hall, in the corner, he was sitting. And then it started raining heavily. And when it started raining heavily, Swami suddenly came from the back into the Kulwant Hall and looked at this brother, Sai brother. And Swami started a conversation. And he suddenly said, it's raining, Kada. So immediately this brother said, yes, Swami. Because he was very happy that Swami was talking to him. Shall we stop the rain? So he was like, oh my God, Swami is going to actually do a miracle. So let's see. So this brother says, yes, Swami. And Swami actually just moves his hand like that and says, stop. And the moment he says stop, that same second, waters have disappeared. I mean, in the sense, no rain is falling off, rain has stopped. But the key thing is, this boy at that time was doing his PhD in physics. And this boy actually notices and he observes that, see, rain which was coming from the cloud, if it stops, that's fine. Okay? But the key thing is, there would have been some rain droplets which would have left the cloud, right? And it will be in mid air. Okay? That should still fall down, right? Because Swami says stop, then means from the sky it stopped, it's fine. But the remaining things should have fallen down. It's a simple concept because it has already left the cloud, it's in midair. But this boy observes that when Swami said stop, nothing fell off, nothing fell down. There was absolute stop. There was zero things that came and fell. So he immediately observes, this boy, what happened to the rain droplets which were there midair? Where did it go? You know what I mean? An observation, right? Then what happens?
Yeah.
Swami then looks at him, smiles because Swami understands what he is thinking. Then Swami says, shall we start? Then immediately he smiles at Swami because he's still in a state of, he was completely in a state of surprise, in a state of this thing for what has happened. Then Swami says, start, like that. And straight away water falls. So then this boy again observes, okay, if Swami says start, it should come from the clouds still down, right? But that very moment, water was falling down. So where did this water droplets go? In the middle of the sky? It was was it in between basically these clouds and earth? And suddenly did it resurface when Swami said start? Or where did it go? So that was a wonder of this boy. And that wonder he shares on YouTube. And the first thing that I found, basically, when I was reading Bhagavata Vahini, Swami says Parikshit has that wonder. When the arrow is cut by Krishna, it breaks into 100 different pieces. And when it breaks into 100 different pieces, straight away all the small pieces disappears. So this boy is thinking, where did it go? Where did all these pieces go? And can you imagine the similar kind of thing this brother is having with rain droplets? Is that a good, do you think it's quite related?
Definitely. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Good example.
I mean, I felt this was quite related that way, so I wanted to touch base on that. So, shall we continue with the story? So, what happens? It goes to the next chapter. This is chapter 2. So, chapter 1 is how Parikshit is protected. And then this baby basically then grows up, but the baby is constantly thinking and yearning to see this child, with this boy with effulgence. So he is constantly thinking about this boy who has great effulgence, who has come to protect him, and who has done this unbelievable feat of breaking the arrows and then disappearing the arrows and him disappearing himself as well. So for a long time, Parikshit is thinking, is this boy somewhere growing underneath in the same fetus, in the same uterus? Or is he somewhere else? So as a baby, he's still imagining. That's what Swami is telling about. He's still imagining and he's still yearning to see that beautiful face of effulgence. So then the time comes, 10 months come, and the baby is born. And when the baby is born, everyone is happy, right? Because he's the only heir. You know that Mahabharata,
Yes.
Upapandavas have all died.
Yes.
So because the Upapandavas are all dead, the only chance of them having a heir, Upapandavas are children of Pandavas, just for people
Yeah.
the thing. So the only heir that they can get is from
Parikshit.
Uttara's womb, and that is Parikshit. But that guy was supposed. That is the reason why Ashwatthama tried to kill that hair, and that's the only Krishna has protected that only hair for the kingdom. And after he comes out, everyone is super elated, really really happy. And when they are happy, we went through this particular thing where the cleansing ceremony happens. And when the cleansing ceremony happens, what happens? Yudhishthira comes and he asks all the people, soothsayers, like whoever astrologers, to check his astrological chart. And he keeps asking about how this boy's life will be, whether he will have a big war, whether he'll be engaged in any particular major issues, whether there will be a Kurukshetra war through his tenure, and all those things. You remember Raghu? I think Raghu was there. We went through that. Madhavi auntie was there. So then what happens? They keep telling no, 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 no. But why did Yudhishthira keep asking all these astrologers? You remember the start where I started with Bhagavatam, where Sami and Shringi, the two sages, how Sami basically in his neck, what happens? Parikshit puts the snake,
Snake.
and then Shringi actually curses him. And then Sami wakes up and tells to Shringi, go and tell him at least that you have cursed. So Krishna reveals all these things to Yudhishthira, that you will have a grandson whose name is Parikshit, and he will die like this of a snake bite. Yeah, all these things before. So Yudhishthira knows the future because Krishna has already revealed the Bhagavatam to whom? Bhagavatam to Yudhishthira. So he knows that this boy will be actually will do something that will earn the wrath, the curse of Shringi, and then when he earns the curse of Shringi, he will die of a serpent bite. Yeah. So that's the reason why he keeps asking on the day of the cleansing day. He keeps asking the astrologers, will he have any problems? How will he die? Finally, he will ask, how will he die? Tell us what. And he keeps asking the different things. And the astrologers will keep telling different things. Oh, he will have a great life. He will have a Vajra Yoga. Vajra Yoga means a yoga which is solid like diamond, full of auspiciousness and things like that. But finally, what happens? Finally, when he directly asks, so how will he die? And immediately the astrologers can't mince their words anymore. They say, oh, he will die out of a curse of a snake bite. So, oh my, then Yudhishthira actually says, oh my God, then that's really not a good death. So, how did this happen? How does this happen? You say he's actually a really good guy, and he will my grandson will have lead a great life, but snake bite, okay, is considered to be very inauspicious, and why would he actually die like that? And then immediately the astrologers go back, they think, see it, and then they say he will be cursed, but the curse basically is more of a blessing for him. It will turn out as a blessing because from Vajra Yoga, that is where he was enjoying his particular thing, like a Indra, he will get into Bhakti Yoga. And because of the curse, he will get into Bhakti Yoga and he will merge with the divine after the serpent bite. So he will have both Vajra Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. So then Yudhishthira will be happy. So this is where we finished in the last study circle. The way in which Raghu's face is going, I don't think he remembers most of these things. Do you? Little more? Okay. The Sami Shringi part is not there in the Bhagavata Vahini. I sent you a separate discourse where Krishna is revealing to Dharmaraja how revealing how his grandson will be and how he will die and all those things. So that is also there in the WhatsApp group. So if you get a chance, you read that first and then you go into this because it will give you an idea as to why Yudhishthira keeps asking this again and again. How will he die? Why will he die? Because he has already been told been told by Krishna about the future. So he knew this was going to happen. Yeah. So this boy is born now. He is really a pleasure to be with. He's growing really quickly to the extent that he one thing that people come, they are very happy, they look at they pick him up. All the Pandava brothers, they come, Kunti Devi comes, they all actually pick him up and they play. He's such an angel, he's wonderful. Everybody is celebrating in Hastinapura. Everyone is loving the boy, the birth of the prince after all these problems, after massive war and all the death of a lot of people and everything like that. But what happens here is one thing that they note about this boy, which is very particular about a trait about him, is he stares at people and he doesn't take his eye off. He keeps looking at everyone. Whomever he sees, he keeps looking at everyone. And he has a very stable vision and he keeps looking deep into them as though he's searching for something. Okay, that thing is called examining somebody or being on a quest, who's always engaged in a quest, that word is called pariksha. Pariksha means examining someone or being in a quest or all the time. And a lot of people keep telling, oh, this guy, basically, he's always on a quest to find something from somewhere. He's looking for somebody. So some people think he's looking for his dad, Abhimanyu, because his dad is no more. His dad died. So some people think like that. And they think, oh, probably poor guy, he doesn't have his dad. So he's looking into everyone's eyes and looking to find out where his dad is. But he is no more. But then he doesn't stop with that. He actually looks at everyone, keeps staring, and he is starting to get called as Pariksha or Parikshit. That's how it was. He hasn't been named yet. Then one fine day, Yudhishthira actually decides, okay, let's have a proper full-time naming ceremony. Okay, and when the naming ceremony is happening, he sets up a big, he invites everybody from Vyasa to everyone for the function. The function is planned really high in with lot of grandeur. The reason being, after a war, after all those things, this is the first happy function that this family is going to enjoy. So they make loads of arrangements for this beautiful function, the naming of the boy. And what he does is he calls Arjuna and he says, please go and call and bring Krishna. So not only you go and call him and invite him, but stay there and bring him also for the function. So Arjuna goes to Dwaraka, stays there, and invites Krishna, and then along with him he brings Krishna to the function on the day of the function. So Krishna comes, then basically every person is there, all the gurus are, and the beautiful naming ceremony is has begun. So they request all Kunti is there, Shubhadra is there, Rukmani is there, Uttara is there. Everybody is beautifully dressed up, and Sahadeva goes inside and he brings the baby, Parikshit. And Parikshit is dressed beautifully with loads of jewels and everything like that. And Sahadeva, when he brings him, one thing is this baby has grown quite a lot. Okay, there is quite a bit of growth in him. And he is trying to move as well quite a lot. He's actually quite a newborn, but he's moving at a pretty high rate, and he's looking into everybody. So he brings and he keeps him, and they had set in a place where there are a lot of flowers. They have set up a beautiful pandal kind of thing, like a proper place, and with lovely flowers. They keep him there, and when they keep him there, this baby does something very unique. He turns himself down. So normally, people who give birth to babies, they know that it takes around 3 months for a baby to turn around. Okay, then he actually starts crawling with all his four arms, his two hands and his two legs. He crawls and he's trying to move. So Sahadeva thinks, how can this boy crawl? He can't, right? He's really little. But this boy is really trying to move. And then, when he's trying to move, Krishna actually from behind says to Sahadeva, move, it's fine. If he wants, let him move. And this boy manages to move. And slowly, 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 this baby moves. And moves. And where is he coming? He is directly coming towards Krishna. Why? Because from his uterus, he has been searching for this boy, the boy with that effulgence, the divine effulgence. He wasn't searching for his dad, he was searching for the Lord himself, because that is the bro, uterine bro, whom he has seen in the uterus. And he was just looking for him everywhere. So his quest, the whole pariksha, his whole quest was to find this Lord. And that day, when he was brought out by Sahadeva, he finds the Lord. And when he finds the Lord, when he sees that same boy with the same effulgence in Krishna, what does he do? He does the impossible, that is crawling. And he does the impossible because he had such a quest to reach his destiny. And he crawls and comes. And then Krishna is startled and Krishna starts laughing out aloud because he's like, oh my God, this baby is coming towards me. And Krishna is really happy because this baby had just one pointed, he was putting only one pointed effort to go and be with the boy whom he had seen in the womb. And then he goes, so Krishna lifts the baby and keeps him on his lap with great happiness. But the baby does something very unique. The baby actually, when he goes on the lap of Krishna, they say, Swami says, normally you keep him on the lap, babies will look in front. But this baby is turning behind and trying to look only at Krishna's face. So even though it is uncomfortable for him because you're keeping him on the lap and it is uncomfortable, still he was turning and looking. So Krishna says, oh, you want to keep looking at me? And he turns him around a little bit and keeps him on his left thigh. And that's when basically baby is constantly looking at him. So that's how beautiful it is. Then Krishna thinks, oh my God, this baby doesn't want to take his eyes off me. So let me divert him. And he asks for different toys to be brought in front of him. So different toys are brought, and Krishna starts showing him the different toys. But the boy is not interested in any of the toys. He's constantly fixed his eyes on Krishna. And then basically Krishna says, okay, you passed the test. You are just basically looking at me. So you have my attention now. And then Yudhishthira says, everyone is stunned by this behavior. Then Yudhishthira actually says, shall we start? And then they start the functions. And then they have this 9 gems jewelry, which has 9 different types of gems. So they take that, and what do? They put it into the golden cup where there is honey. And with that honey, they take it and they keep from that small drop of honey into the mouth, into the tongue of Parikshit. And then they name him Parikshit. The reason is because at the end of the day, he is always on a quest or examining each and every person's face, looking for something. And that something is Krishna. So he's named Parikshit after that, and the name is written on rice which is kept on a golden plate, and they take the rice and they put it on top of his head as a kind of ashirvad, as a blessing kind of thing. And then everyone is happy. And everyone is stunned by the behavior of Parikshit as well. Everyone is filled with joy. Kripacharya is there, Vyasa is there, Vashishta is there. All these people are very, very happy, and they give a lot of blessings for Parikshit. And after the event is over, the baby is taken inside, and then that everybody keeps talking. Now, important point is they keep talking about how the Mahabharata war went, how it has been, and everything like that. But now, how happy we are that the whole lineage has a heir, and everything like that. They discuss about it, and after some time, you have Dharmaraja. Now we are going to chapter 4, which is about the sacrifice, Ashwamedha Yajna. So in the Yudhishthira actually starts contemplating a lot, and then he gets up and he says, see, during this Kurukshetra war, we killed so many people. Not only normal people, great souls like Drona and everybody. Not only great souls, we also killed our own kith and kin, family members. So we have committed grave sin. And because we have committed grave sin, how can we do something as parikar, something that will take off all these sins? I want to do something with which I can absolve all these sins and things. So he is very worried, and he folds his hand in front of everybody, including Krishna, and then he says, please suggest to me a way by which I can absolve all these sins. So for this, immediately Krishna gets up because he's put that particular request. And Krishna says, see, as a Kshatriya, you have to take care of your land. And if people basically of adharma come to take over your land, then you have to fight and you have to kill them. And because you are working on the ideals of Dharma, and you yourself, you're a Dharma Raja yourself, you should know when you're doing a dharmic action, you won't accrue any bad sins, any papa, any pap. So you don't have to do anything to absolve these sins. And Vasudeva just sits down. Krishna just sits down. Because he says, you don't have to do anything because there are no sins here. And it's done and dusted. The job is done and dusted. Then Dharmaraja is not happy. He wants something to be done. So he keeps still asking. So then Vashishta gets up and he says, see, you don't have to do, as Vasudeva himself has said, you don't have to do anything because it's not a fault. But if you really want to do, if you go back in history, whoever has won wars like this, have had major wars, they have conducted a Ashwamedha Yajna. So if you do an Ashwamedha Yajna, and that will absolve all your sins. So immediately Dharmaraja's all his brothers, Arjuna, everybody is really happy, and they all say, okay, let's do Ashwamedha Yajna. Then Dharmaraja actually still not happy. He says, yeah, my previous generation, they have all gone into war, they have killed people. So they do one Ashwamedha Yajna and all their sins are absolved. But for me, I have killed my kith and kin, my own kith and kin, my own guru. How can one Ashwamedha Yajna resolve everything? I would like to do three Ashwamedha Yajnas in one go, so that at least that way I would have absolved all the sins of the army people whom I have killed. I would have absolved the sins of killing my own kith and kin, and I would have absolved the sins of killing my own guru and all those people. So then all the people, because he says this, all the people immediately say, that's perfect. Yes, we'll do, we'll do, we'll do. And then Dharmaraja is a little happy. And after this group gets done, most of the people are done. Then Krishna from behind, he's sitting, he says, what is this, Yudhishthira? What are you talking? See, you want to do a yajna. Yajna is an expensive preposition. In that, Ashwamedha Yajna is quite expensive. Okay, you are a emperor, and because you are an emperor, the yajna that you're doing should befit your status. So you can't do a very simple yajna. Everybody would like to come and participate, and if everybody is going to come and participate, it's going to cost you a fortune. So one Ashwamedha Yajna itself is going to cost you a fortune. You want to do three. Okay, where is the money for this? You have just come out of a big war. Okay, and the king doesn't have any money. An emperor like you does not have any money. The money that you have is the money that's been given by people in taxes. Now, if you are going to go and say you want money for doing three Ashwamedha Yajnas, then people have to be taxed. But they can't be taxed heavily, mainly because the country has just come out of big war. Yeah, and all the smaller kings, either they have lost people or they are in the process of recuperating from the particular losses. So they don't have the funds, they don't have the finances. And without actually even discussing all these things with me, you go in front of people and you actually start talking and you just declare, okay, let's do three yajnas. Okay, who will do it? Where are you going to find the resources for such particular thing? And where will the money come from? What do you think? Okay, are you going to extract this from the people with force? What are you going to do? And it's three. So then Dharmaraja shocked a little, because that's when, till then, he was completely overcome by all these emotions, right? Oh, I have committed this papam, I have committed this sin, these type of sins. Let me do three and all that stuff. But till then, nobody talked any practical things with him. Okay, now Krishna is telling, then he is getting a sense of, oh my god, there is a lot of practicality in it. But then Dharmaraja immediately, what does he say? He says, you are God, you are Kamadhenu, like, the wish fulfilling tree, and you are there right next to me. Then why should I worry about the money? Okay, you are my treasure and you are my treasury. This is a very interesting line in Bhagavatam. Okay, you are my treasure and you are my treasury. What it basically means is you are my treasure. Yes, all my great treasure is you only. And treasury means I can keep taking money from you. Okay, so you are my treasure and you are my treasury. So why should I worry? Okay, I surrender this to you, my lord. Try and sort something out so that I get the money that is required. See, this guy, when he is making all the announcements, okay, he doesn't actually consult the Bhagwan. But after making the decision and everything like that, see, Krishna actually told in the beginning itself, you don't have any sin. You don't have to do anything. Okay, but he was not happy with that. He didn't follow Krishna. But after everything is decided, this guy is saying, oh, you are my treasury. Please get me the money. Okay. This we will pick up on Sutra Vahini, all these characters. The reason why I'm elaborating since small things from Bhagavatam is because this will give us an opportunity to discuss in the Brahma Sutras. Do you understand? Parikshit, so I said how he was doing the quest, the yearning to see Krishna. That is Parikshit. Okay. Dharmaraja, is he having ultimate faith? Or something else. There, Dharma, ultimate faith means he should have actually stopped in the first instance, where Krishna, when Krishna said, "There is no this thing, you don't have to do anything." But he decided, and then he is basically saying, "Okay, resources you will get. I've surrendered to you," because he has already announced, and Krishna is not going to back up. Sorry, not going to go back because it's been announced. So what does Krishna do? Krishna actually says, yeah. So Krishna actually says to the brothers Pandavas, he gives a beautiful idea for getting money. He says there was an emperor called Marut, and Marut did a Ashwamedha Yajna. And his was the best yajna ever because his was the most expensive yajna ever. He doesn't say it's the best. He says he does the yajna and it's the most expensive because what he did was he filled the yajna with gold. He gave everything gold in gold. Even the cows, Godhanam that they were supposed to do, he made gold plates in the form of cows and he gave it to people. And he gave every Brahmin who came and did the yajna, all the Brahmins, bars of gold. Now, what happened is when Emperor Marut finished his particular yajna, when all these people, all the Brahmins finished, when they were going, they had so many bars of gold, each and every one, that after one point of time they couldn't carry. So when they were walking, there were times where the Brahmins actually left some of the gold on the roadside. Okay, and they actually walked and went because they couldn't walk anymore with so much gold bars because he filled the whole yaga with so many gold bars. And then Krishna says, you go to this place and you dig and you can find all those bars of gold that they had left. It is just inside, and you don't even have to dig too much. It is just here. Go, dig, take it, come and do the yajna. So then these Pandavas are looking at Krishna and thinking, oh my God, first of all, how do you know? Of course, they know that he is God. He will know everything. That's perfectly fine. Then Dharmaraja thinks for a minute and says, but Vasudeva, it is not correct on our part to take someone else's gold, isn't it? Those golds belong to the Brahmins. It was given to them. So why should we take and why should we use it? Then immediately Krishna looks at him and says, see, Dharmaraja, if he can answer like that, talk like that, Krishna is his bap, his father. He can answer in different ways. He says, first point, Brahmins left it out of their own accord. Second point, their children don't even know that it exists. Those Brahmins, all of them are dead and gone because Emperor Marut lived a long time before your life. And third point, you are the ruler of this land. If you get a treasure from under the ground, which does not belong to anybody else, yeah, then the property goes to the ruler of the land. So you are the correct beneficiary of this particular property. So all your rights are there. Go dig, take the gold, and do the yajna. So then Dharmaraja is convinced. See, so many points the god has to make people convince. Okay. Normally, if the god says people are not convinced. See, Krishna actually said to Dharmaraja, "No, Papa has occurred," but this guy is not giving up. Not this thing. But now he had to give all this point by point explanation to use the gold. So when he says, then immediately Dharmaraja sends all his brothers. They go, they dig, and they are finding so many gold bars, one after another after another. So it takes days for them to get everything. And then all the three brothers, Bhima, Arjuna, everybody, all the four brothers, they actually bring everything back. And when they are bringing back itself, when people see the gold, they get an idea as to how this yajna is going to be, because it's massive amount of gold coming in. So imagine how much that Emperor Marut would have done, used for his yajna, because these are things that he gave to the Brahmins. So imagine how much he would have used for that. So they bring everything, and the yajna starts. When the yajna starts, the point is asked, three Ashwamedha yajnas, right? So then Dharmaraja asks, are you going, the Brahmins ask, are you going to do one yajna, followed by another yajna, followed by another yajna? Or do you want us to do every mantra three times, so that it will be categorized as three yajnas? So then Dharmaraja says, whichever way you want it. And he looks at Vasudeva. Then immediately the Brahmins say, we will do every mantra three times in the best of our ability, to the best of our ability, so that it will be three Ashwamedhas. And Krishna says that's perfectly fine. And they start the yajna. So what is Ashwamedha? Anyone? So basically, what Ashwa means what?
The horse will be
Ashwa,
sent to all the
yes.
kingdoms, and then whoever
Wherever the ass goes,
Yeah.
that'll be like they will be fighting for that.
they will be they will become the king of that land, right?
That-
Like in Ramayana, where Rama sends the horse, it lands in like Lavakusha's ashram.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So that is the action part,
Okay.
physical level. Okay, but what is the esoteric and exoteric meaning of Ashwamedha? Anyone?
No. I
Ashwam is horse. Yes, that's true.
don't-
Okay. Ashwatha tree means people tree. So what is something that is related to horse and the people tree? Because both are Ashwa. So both are very, they keep moving. They are fickle. Okay, if you see the people tree, it doesn't require a big breeze or anything like that for its leaves to move. It is always moving. The leaves are moving a little bit here and there. Even if if it's a quiet night, it is still moving. Horse also similar to that. Most of the times, one part of the body or the other, it will be moving a little. It is not actually stable all the time. Okay, so basically, Ashwa is that which is fickle and restless. Okay, so what is fickle and restless in us? Our mind. Okay, so Ashwa is nothing but our mind. But Meda, here what they say is, Ashwa is nothing but the one which is fickled all the time. Meda here is normally Meda Shakti. We call Meda Shakti, right? Buddhi. Sorry, Buddhi, not, I wouldn't call it as the mind. Buddhi is the thing. So Ashwamedha means the one basically which has the fickle mindedness all the time, and he is always having a restless mind. So what do we do in this scenario is, our horse, basically, if you see the horse is the symbol, which one is symbolized with that is, if you see the horses in Bhagavad Gita or in Katha Upanishad, the senses basically are represented as the horses, yeah, where Krishna stands sitting on the chariot, and then there are the horses, the senses, and it is held up. So what happens is, the senses, if if the senses, if we don't have the sense control, our buddhi will also not have the sense control. It will have fickleness and restlessness all the time. So the sense control needs to come. So what do? They send this particular horse, which represents basically our buddhi. Okay, and it is nothing but our senses are going everywhere, whichever world we can think about, it's going. Our buddhi is actually traveling along with it everywhere. And who is coming to, whoever comes in to stop, his name is Dimanta. Dimanta means the one who has the heroic intelligence. So anybody who can control their senses and stop the mind from being restless, the buddhi from being restless. He is the Dimanta of the Ashwamedha. So the inner meaning of Ashwamedha is having the stable mind or stable intelligence by control of sense power, sense control. That is what it is actually built upon. But of course, outside they need to show the different representation. So these are the representations. So Ashwamedha is that. And if he is telling three Ashwamedhas means because he had that buddhi going everywhere, he was feeling guilty for many different things. So he needed mind control, sense control, and he needed his intelligence to be stabilized. So he required three Ashwamedhas. Do you understand? So in Rama period, one Ashwamedha was doing the job. In
Exactly, pattern.
Dwapara Puja period, three Ashwamedhas were required because now the Kali Yuga is coming. At this time, when this was happening, the end of the after the Kurukshetra was the start of Kali Yuga. So it required three times the effort. Yes, go on. Sorry, Raghu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said that Ashwamedha, when it's been stopped, Dimanta will have it is called, right? So, but every time the Ashwamedha will in Ramayana or in Kurukshetra, they don't. No one will stop because Rama and yeah,
Rama and Krishna are
Pandavas.
to stop
Yeah.
the particular thing, and it actually ends up with Rama meeting Sita again, right?
Sita again. Yeah.
Rama meeting the whole family back again. So it had an inner significance. In this one, nobody
Okay.
stops. This one,
Huh.
nobody stops. It is only the rite that happens, the rituals that happen. Nobody stops this particular thing. But through the rituals, they are supposed to at least get some kind of sense control and some kind of stability.
But there is a Babru story, right? Where Babru stops the horse.
In which one?
Ashwamedha.
This Ashwamedha, the three.
I don't know whether it is three or one. So Babru there is one story.
Was
Babru
there in
will
this
stop
Ashwamedha?
the horse.
It happened in the previous Ashwamedha before, where Krishna
Oh,
actually
okay.
has to. In that Ashwamedha, even the Kauravas come
Okay.
in the gift. That is before the Kurukshetra war.
Kurukshetra.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the Babruahana one. This one is
Okay.
after the Kurukshetra war.
After Kurukshetra.
Kauravas, everybody has died.
Parikshit
That's when
Parikshit is doing it.
Parikshit is there. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So this one is
Okay.
then after that. This is almost on before the Pandavas leave their body. Before
Yeah.
Krishna's
Okay.
death. It's one of the last yajnas. The last yajna is, of course, the Yadava yajna, which Krishna actually takes part. But this is the last one.
Okay.
Yeah. So, of course, we will come to Krishna's last in Bhagavatam. That's in another two chapters. Basically, we'll come to that stage. We will talk about that yajna, the Yadava yajna and everything. Great. So this is something that happens, and the yajna goes off really well because of God's grace, because of Krishna helping with all the resources and everything like that. What's the time? Shall we stop with Bhagavatam? Are we half?
Time. It's nearly 8:25.
Great. We can do 5 more minutes in that case. So one thing that happens there is after that happens, everybody is really happy that it has gone through fine. Baby is also fine, and then suddenly a news comes to people that Vidura is around in that particular place. They find that Vidura has come. When Vidura has come, he doesn't come to the palace. So then basically Dharmaraja actually calls sends his messengers and his brothers after that. First was messengers to find out whether that's Vidra, because Vidra has taken up sannyasi, has become a sannyasi. So he takes up the responsibility, and they find out that it is Vidra. Because Vidra has changed a lot because of all the penance that he has done. He has a lot of aura, spiritual aura, and he looks really nice and has a tejas around him. Then what happens is, once they get to know that it's Vidra, then immediately the brothers go, they invite him home. And once he comes home, Vidra actually starts talking. The people are very happy. They say they miss him like anything. Then Kunti comes and starts talking to Vidra. And at that time, Kunti says, how could you do this? How could you actually leave all these children whom you have actually helped grow? Yeah. And then you have become a sannyasi now. You are going from one temple to another. How could you take this particular non-attachment? And Vidra doesn't answer it, but he just goes on. And then Kunti asks, did you go to Dwaraka? Did you actually see Krishna? How is he doing? How is his parents? How are his parents? And all those things he keeps asking. She keeps asking. But Vidura at that time, when Vidura comes to the palace, Arjuna is in Dwaraka, because Krishna actually leaves after the function. Krishna stays for some time with Pandavas and then he leaves. And when he leaves, Arjuna goes with him. So Arjuna has gone to Dwaraka. And at that time, Arjuna is not there when Vidura comes. But Vidura knows that Krishna is no more. And he's no more, his parents are no more. But Vidura doesn't actually answer to the other Pandavas and Kunti and everybody. He actually just diverts the topic. He says, I didn't go and meet anybody. And I just basically went to the temples and I came back. And he doesn't actually explain. And he knows it mainly because with his vision, yogic vision, he could actually see that Krishna is no more. But he doesn't want to share that information with the Pandavas at that particular moment of time. The reason being, he thinks, oh, I have come here for something else. I don't want to go into that and make the Pandavas unhappy. And what did Vidra come for? Vidra has come to actually take to task Dhritarashtra and his wife and make them understand the true purpose of living, and then make them go for their meditation. So for that purpose he has come, but he doesn't say anything. He just speaks. Later on in the night, he actually goes to Dhritarashtra's palace where Dhritarashtra is there. So we will touch base on that particular aspect in the next coming class. All these things, have a read through the book. The book is quite chilled out, really nice. It is good reading. Anybody can read. Children can also read. Shruti, Sai, Krishna, you can all actually read it, and it's pretty nice. So all these stories are there, whatever I explained in that particular book, and it's completely free now. Okay, so shall we go into Sutra Vahini?
Yeah.
Krishna, you can leave if you'd like. And also, Sai, if you don't want to stay, you can. You don't have to. I wouldn't push you too much into it. So, with sutras, we already discussed it's part of the Shruti. So right now, till now, we were speaking about the Smriti. And now we are going into the Shruti again. So the Vedas, the Brahma Sutras are all Shrutis, right? That which is heard. And they are authentic sources. Now, Brahma Sutras, we already spoke how it is small, but it has big meaning. That's what the sutras are. We spoke about it. There are 555 sutras in total. Okay, but we are going to only take around 10 out of it, which are most important. And we are going to delve into it. How many Upanishads were there? I told you 1180. And we lost quite a lot. And we delved into what? 11. The reason why we delved into 11 approximately over the last couple of years was because the 11 were become very popular. And the reason why they were popular is because Shankaracharya took the responsibility to provide commentary for the 11. So that is the reason why those 11 are still very much in circulation. People actually talk a lot about it. We lost quite a few of the Upanishads anyway. We still have few, but we don't have anywhere near 1180. Swami has given all the 1180 Upanishads, the list to us with the thing, but we don't have it in circulation. So this one is 555, but we are going to again talk about 10 or 11 of this from that particular book. And last time we started with the first sutra, which was thereafter. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Adhyatu Brahma Jignasa.
Yes,
Brahma
Brahma
Jignasa.
Jignasa. Yes, exactly. So that was what we discussed last time. So in that, the first point that I was telling was yearning. Yearning, and that is the reason why we started the whole this thing with Parikshit, because what was Parikshit yearning to see? He was constantly yearning to see the Lord, his character. From the time he was actually conceived, when he first initially saw the Lord in his womb, in his place, from that time he constantly yearned to see that particular boy with that effulgence. When he came out, he was examining every person, every boy, because he was yearning. So this yearning is an important thing. So where does yearning come in Adhyato Brahma Jignasa? So what it basically means is thereafter the enquiry into Brahman is what it is. Adhyato is thereafter the inquiry into Brahman. From whereafter, from the time you actually decide and you start your inquiry towards the Brahman. And from where? So after what is the inquiry into Brahman coming? Is what is our question. Thereafter means after what. So that after what is, Swami says, first it starts with the yearning to understand the nature of the Brahman. So here with Parikshit, it was yearning to see that particular Brahman, have a vision of that particular Brahman, who was Krishna himself, of that Brahman there being Krishna. Here, we have to have, first of all, the yearning to understand the nature of the Brahman. When we have the yearning to understand the nature of the Brahman, then what we do is, thereafter, you start the enquiry into Brahman. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Okay, so first it starts with the yearning, and then basically you start inquiring about the nature of the Brahman, who's Brahman, how is he, and things like that. So that is this beautiful Adhyato Brahma Jignasa is all about that. Now coming back to Brahma Sutras, last week or in the last class, I was telling how these are two things with Brahma Sutras that you need to understand, that I had actually told, but I'll repeat it again. One was, it is called as Vedanta Darshana. It is part of the Vedanta Darshanas. And second, it is Sharirika Shastras. So what does Sharirika Shastra mean when we talk about it? Sharirika means what? Body. Okay. Shariram means body generally. And Sharirika means anything related to the body. Okay. So all the components of the body is Sharirika. All the components of the body means having a detailed analysis of all the components of the body is something that we have done as research. Our sages have done. So all the components doesn't mean only the physiology, like what you see as a gross form. It also means subtle form, the prana, the breath, the subtle aspects of the particular body. It also means other things. What are the other things? Ego, the different senses. So Vijnanamaya Kosha, the different sheaths when you talk about it. You have food sheath, you have vital sheath, then you have the mind sheath, then you have the intellect sheath, and then you have the bliss sheath, the different sheaths. So you have different things. Now, does the intellect have a form, a gross form? No, it doesn't have a gross form, it is subtle. Okay, so Sharirika means understanding all the components of the Sharira. So it's just not just the gross form alone, because a gross form can be given even in the med school books, but all the components are not explained in medicine, right? But it is there. We have something called as ego with us. But does it have ahamkara is there in us? But can you see the ahankara? Not really. You can see it in behavior, but you can't actually say, okay, this is the ahankara. I can see it under a microscope or something like that. Senses. Yes, we can see the senses, but if you see intellect, or if you see different things, how the senses are working, how it is taking us to different things, those intricacies, how about intellect, how about mind? Everybody says there is a mind. Okay, and they say, oh, there is depression, there is mental health, there is something anxiety and all that stuff, but can you find where the mind is? Not really. So because these are subtle aspects as well, so it's not just normal shariram, the sharirika shastra. Why do we call the Brahma Sutras as one of the sharirika shastras? What does shastra mean? Shastras,
Yes.
but examining, the word shastra basically means examining the nature of all all the things to the greatest possible degree. So if somebody does a research, an intensive research, and examines a particular particular aspect to the greatest possible degree, greatest degree possible, that means that action, that those things are called as shastras. And if they make a note of it, those are called shastras. Okay, so sharirika shastras means somebody has actually sat down, examined, okay, and done complete research onto how our sharirika works. Shariram works. Shariram basically there means not just the gross body, what and all is there inside the gross body, inside our body, which has also the subtle aspects. It also has the formless aspects. What is the formless aspect? Antaratma. Antaratma is formless, which is inside our body, which is the divine conscience. So, what is the nature by which the Antaratma comes from our body? It comes as divine conscience, where you can hear the Antaratma giving you guidance. Okay, but can you see the Antaratma? Not exactly. So, this examining aspect, where somebody has really sat down, they have done a shastra into the Sharirika, and that is the aspect of Sharirika Shastra. So, Brahma Sutras are part of that. Okay, and Brahma Sutras are also part of Vedanta Darshanas. I will send you material about this. So, Vedanta Darshana means what? So, what happens is we had sages and they had darshanas. Darshanas means they had vision. And this
Yes, sir.
set of sages are called vision blessed sages in Sanatana Dharma. So they had the blessing of vision. Who gave this blessing? God gave the blessing of the vision. So with the vision of that blessing, what did they do? They experienced the sight of the Brahman. They experienced the sight of truth. That is the Brahman. So they came up with five different darshanas, what we call as darshanas. And these five different darshanas form the basis of Sanatana Dharma. Okay, so you have something called as Sankhya Darshana, which was given by a sage called as Kapila Maharishi. Okay, then you have a Nyaya Darshana, which was given by a sage called as Gautama Maharishi. Okay, these Maharishis are somebody whom we pray to, we keep them very close to our heart, because their darshanas are very important, and using their darshanas, we have set up a lot of things in our life. You know, our practices in Hindu temples, our practices in construction of the temples, our all our cultural practices, a lot of our food routines, everything has come from these Vedanta darshanas, because they have cited that and they have actually told it. So then I'll tell you how it comes, but these are going into the root. You know, we are talking about the root of our real scriptures. So then you have Vaisheshika Darshana, which was given by a sage called as Kannada. And then you have the Mimamsa. Mimamsa is of two types. Mimamsa is of Purva Mimamsa Darshana, and that was given by a great sage called as Jaimini. And another is Uttara Mimamsa Darshana, that is given by a great sage called as Vedavyasa. Okay, so these are some of the darshanas. So how is it related to me, if you ask me? Then Purva Mimamsa is a very interesting part, which I was actually explaining to in one of the talks on Saturday. Those Purva Mimamsa school, Darshana means what? Rites and rituals. All the rites that we do, all the rituals that we do come from this Purva Mimamsa. Okay, so and all those things where it came from the root, because the Maharishi called as Jaimini, he had the darshana, and from there he started saying, if you do havan, how should you do havan? You offer it through fire. Okay, if you do this, how should you do this? If you are going to do Naivedyam, this is how you need to offer it to God. You use these particular words to offer it to God. All these things, the right rituals. How about Shrad? If somebody is basically dead and gone, how should you actually do? What should you do? How many days you should do? Shrad, every aspect came from Jaimini. Okay, so this Brahma Sutras are part of the Vedanta Darshanas. Okay, so I know in last this thing we were talking about Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. So what is the difference? So in Vedas you have rites and rituals. You have different parts. The three different parts are karma kanda, upasana kanda, and jnana kanda. So what we discuss, jnana kanda, is the path of wisdom. That is the Vedanta. That is called as the end of the Vedas. And that end of the Vedas basically are the Upanishads, where we are discussing about Brahman and everything like that. But the Karma Kanda deals with what Karma and Upasana deals with a lot of rites and rituals. So you do this yajna, that yajna, different types of yajna, different types of prayers, pujas. So if you go to the Hindu temple, for example, they will do at 12 o'clock, they will do a havan. All those things are from the Karma Kanda. Okay, so that school is called Purva Mimamsa school. Okay, so I was telling one story on Saturday, Gayatri, if you remember. There was a dialogue between a Purva Mimamsa
Yeah,
scholar, yeah, you remember, and
yeah.
Adi Shankara. And
Adi Shankar.
believed in what? Uttara Mimamsa. Uttara Mimamsa means higher degree, higher level of um, this thing, what high ultimate vision or level of wisdom kind of thing. So that deals with Brahman. That doesn't we deal with lot of rites and rituals and everything like that. It's more about wisdom and things. So do you remember the story?
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, Sharon, tell us the story.
Charan is outside. One second, I'll call him.
Sorry, did you say Gayatri?
Yeah,
Yeah, you
I
can
said
share the
yes.
story if you would like. So what was this about?
So Adi Shankara will have an argument like to say that Purva Mimamsa is right or Advaita is right. That is the story.
Yes, exactly. So what happens there is he goes to Adi Shankara's role was he was taking the Advaita to all parts of India. Uttara Mimamsa school was what he was taking to. The Uttara Mimamsa was actually originally set up by Veda Vyasa. He was a Vedanta Darshana. He was a sage who saw the truth. Had the darshan of the truth. So why did he actually do so at that particular point of time? The rites and the rituals were so there were a group of people who only believed doing the rites and the rituals with which they can actually achieve the things. But when Adi Shankara came, he challenged. And in those days, what used to happen is they had lot of debates, and after the end of the debates, whoever won, the other person will move to that school. So you have these different schools. These are all different darshanas. We still continue with all these darshanas. It doesn't mean that we have stopped any of these darshanas. And it doesn't mean that any one is more important than the other. No. Everything is important. Everything is good. But when Shankaracharya came, what did he do? He went to go and have a debate with another Purva Mimamsa scholar. And he was advised to go and have a debate with Mandana Mishra. Mandana Mishra
Mandana
was a
Mishra.
Purva Mimamsa scholar. And what did he do? He went when he went. Mandana Mishra was actually Mandana Mishra was quite old at that time. His and Adi Shankara was quite young. He passed away young as well. But what happened was Mandana Mishra was engaged in a shradam. He was doing a shradam with Brahmins, and he had closed the door. And what closed doors in those days mean is sannyasis are not allowed. But then Adi Shankara, when he goes, the door is closed. But using his particular tapas palan, he actually goes inside the house. When he goes inside the house through the particular door, what happens there? Um, Obviously, Vandana Mishra looks at him and he's not happy because he's not from that school. Still believes in rites, in rituals, and things like that, not into completely into wisdom, Brahmanya. So then he thinks, why did this man come? But other people say, you engage with him in a dialogue. So then Mandana Mishra says, I will engage with you in a dialogue tomorrow. And the next day, Adi Shankara comes, they start a dialogue. When he starts a dialogue, Mandana Mishra says to him, okay, you look young, you're young, and I'm old. So I have wisdom. I mean, I have this power of age because I have learned so much through the years. So I will give you an opportunity, just to keep the balances right for the debate. I will give you an opportunity. You can pick the judge for this argument. So, whom did Shankara pick?
Mandana Mishra wife.
Yes, Mandana Mishra's wife he picks up. Her name is Ubaya Bharati. And Ubaya
Uba.
Bharati was also equal to Mandana Mishra in the Purva Mimamsa school. And why did Adi Shankara pick Mandana Mishra's wife as the judge? Because Adi Shankara clearly knew that Ubaya Bharati was a very
Impartial.
impartial,
Impartial.
and she was a very highly evolved soul. So he knew that if he knew that she will be fair without a doubt. So then the debate starts. They go on basically for a long time. Just before the debate starts, actually, when Ubaya Bharati is requested to be the judge, then Ubaya Bharati, what does she do? Something unique she does. You remember? She
Yeah, garland.
He gives
Jasmine
garlands.
garland.
Yeah, she makes two garlands out of jasmine flower, and she goes and puts one garland around her husband's neck, and she gives one garland to Shankara.
Adi Shankara.
So then Shankara basically says, I'm a sannyasi, I don't need garlands. But what does Ubay Bharati say?
So she says that this helps me in the judgment. So you need to wear it.
Exactly. The reason why it helps in the judgment is because um, the person who is losing in any debate, the first expression of his loss comes when he starts becoming angry. And when you become angry, your body heat goes up. And when your body heat goes up, what happens to the flower in the garland? It will become dry quickly,
Done.
dull quicker. Yeah. So she says the dull flowers, the dullest of the flowers in this debate is the loser.
Loser.
She had that skill. That's the reason why she gives the garlands to the two people. And then they go for a debate. And finally, who wins in that debate?
Adi Shankara.
Adi Shankara wins. And when Adi Shankara wins, what happens is both Mandana Mishra and Ubay Bharati, they both take up sannyasi. Sannyasi.
So Kailash, I had one question. So Adi Shankara wins because it has a devotion, and in the Purva Mimamsa, the rituals and rites were without devotion. Is that's the right or not?
Both have devotion. All the Vedanta darshanas have devotion. Okay, whether it is basically Nyaya, Sankhya, Vaisheshika, Purva Mimamsa, or Uttara Mimamsa, everything has devotion. And none of this is bad. We still believe in Purva Mimamsa. I don't know about everyone, but personally, I believe a lot in Purva Mimamsa. If we are going to do Archana in the temple, okay, when we have a birthday or something like that, that Archana came from Purva Mimamsa school.
Okay.
Setting up actually a temple, Agama Shastra, what we call as Agama Shastra, where we actually sculpt the thing, came from Purva Mimamsa. So if somebody is believing in form worship, Purva Mimamsa, because Uttara Mimamsa, Brahman, only Brahmagyan. Okay, if you go to Brahma Samaj, they'll only talk about Brahma. They wouldn't actually talk about anything with regards to, they'll not pray to a lot of avatars and everything like that. So it is full of jnana. Okay, and only with yourself you go in and you can pray and things like that. That is also not possible. So it needs to be a blend for us. But in this juncture, at this juncture, the history was such that there was Buddhism coming in and they were telling different things. So Adi Shankara came and he spoke about Advaita so that the intellectuals, the people who are quite mature in their particular thing, can go in. So see, for example, Brahma Sutras, it is for, when we talk about Adhyato, this thing thereafter. So before that, there is lot of other prayers like small prayers, bhajans, we are doing all those things. After that, once we had developed the yearning for the Brahman, then only we are starting the Brahma Sutras. Okay, but a lot of people are there who don't know about the Brahman, who wouldn't actually venture into the Brahman, okay, who don't know the reality. They are continuing with that as well. And even after you start the journey to Brahman, faith is very important. We'll talk about it. All these bhajans and everything are important. It is not like we are taking a stand that this is bad or that is bad, this is not right, that is not right. As far as Swami is concerned, he put everything together. He put karma yoga into it, asked us to do service, meditation, light meditation. He's asked us to do Vedam also. But at the same time, he also asked us to do bhajans. So everything should be there. Yes, Pravina?
Okay. No, my understanding of what made Adi Shankara win was that rituals are not necessary to reach God or liberation. Rituals are a way, but it is not only through rituals that you can reach.
Yes. And another,
Is that right?
yes, the topic was actually about Medha Shakti. And the rituals can improve your Medha Shakti. For example, we spoke about Ashwamedha. You chant certain mantras from the Ashwamedha Yajna, and your Ashwa fickle intelligence will be, your senses will be controlled, and your fickle mindedness will get controlled, and things like that. That's true. But you can also develop strengthen your intelligence through meditation, through the Raja Yoga, okay, by developing detachment through the jnana yoga. So they had a long chat about which one is more efficacious, and Shankara won by saying that the path of Uttara Mimamsa is the better way, that is understanding. Jnana is a better way of controlling yourself, of getting the buddhi to be unshakable, and all those things. The rites and the rituals always come with a danger. The danger is it can become mechanical. So sometimes rites and rituals were getting at that particular point of time in the beginning of Kali Yuga. Even now, it becomes mechanical after one point of time. And when you take the bhava out of the rites and the rituals, if you take the knowledge part out of the rite and rituals, then it doesn't have the effect. And not everybody can do the rites and rituals in the way Vandana Mishra was doing. Because, for example, some people can take the Soma creeper and they can do wonderful yajnas. But is it possible for everybody to take the Soma creepers and do yajnas or something like that? So it wasn't practically possible. So, but everybody can, with the help of Upanishads, go inside themselves and they can understand their intelligence, they can control their senses and realize that particular Brahman. Am I making?
Okay. So when you say bhava, is it bhakti you're talking about?
Yes, upasana as well. Yes, bhakti as well. But this,
But Advaita is saying that you and God are one, isn't it?
yes, but
So where is the question of bhakti here?
no. You need to have faith, and faith that the God is inside you. Yeah, you need to have faith in that particular Brahman to realize the Brahman. Okay, so if you have to realize the Brahman, you should have love, more love for that particular Brahman to realize him. So you need to know the Brahman. For you to know the Brahman, you should have the yearning for the Brahman, right? You should have
Mm.
yearning to understand the Brahman, because the knower of the Brahman becomes one with the Brahman. Okay, but for you, so Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. That's what the Upanishads say. So the knower of the Brahman will become one with the Brahman. But for you to know the Brahman, you need to start a journey. And for starting the particular journey, Atato Brahma Jignasa means after this you can start the journey towards the Brahman. But for that you need to know whom you're going towards. Second, you need to have the yearning to understand and become one with the Brahman. So for that, love for Brahman is paramount. Because if you don't know what you're going to get, so say for example, Taittiriya Upanishad. Taittiriya Upanishad has three parts. Okay, in the three parts, what does it say? First part is Shikshavali, instructions. We dealt in this. So instruction is, they say this is how you need to lead your life. If you lead your life in a dharmic way, if you lead your life and if you do these things, then this is how you can lead the life better. We did that. The second part, what does it actually say? Brahmananda. So it says, this is what Brahman is. And this is the Ananda. This is the bliss that you can get by merging with the Brahman. This is the level of Ananda that you can actually get. So, why does the Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, put it that way, the second chapter, the second part? The reason why it puts it that way is because first you lead your life this way, with all the bhakti, with faith and everything like that, in a dharmic way. Then you start setting up your aim, ambition to get to become one with the Brahman whom you really are. That is your potential. You are destined to get this. And what is this? What will you get? Because if you don't know what you will get, why would I proceed in that process? So they kept the second Brahmavalli, Anandavalli, it's called, or Brahmanandavalli. First is called Shikshavalli, Brahmanandavalli. In the Anandavalli, what does it say? It starts saying, okay, this is how much maximum, without you knowing about Brahman, this is the maximum you can have as bliss or happiness. Now, million, 100 times more than that is how much these guys are getting. Another 100 times more than that is these guys, Gandharvas getting. 100 times more than that is what Brahma is getting. And 100 times more than that is these people getting. Then 100 times more than that is how much bliss you can get. How? By if you go in for that. So he's saying that in Taittiriya Upanishad. Then what does he do? In the third part of the Upanishad, he does a very intelligent thing. The Upanishad, the way in which it's set out. He goes for Bhriguvalli. In Bhriguvalli, what is he saying? How can you get that particular Ananda? How did Bhrigu get it? Sage Bhrigu get it? And he goes into all the sheaths, the sheath. From this sheath, how does he do? By reduction process. First he thinks the food sheath is me. Food and body is me. Then he thinks, no, 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 this is not me. Then he comes and says, oh, the senses are me. No, 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 the senses are not me. Then he goes and he does more penance. He comes, oh, the vital air is me. The prana is me. No, 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 this is not me. Then he gets mind. Mind is me. No, 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 it's not me. Then intellect. And finally he says, I am the bliss. So he gives the thing. So if you see the Upanishad that way, why I'm saying about Taittiriya Upanishad is because it's the most popular one and it's one of the ones that is time. So if you see that in the first chapter, it is more, or the first part, Sikshavali, it is more about instructions where dharmic. So everything matters. The dharmic life matters, the prayers matter. But then once you come to a stage where you have established a nice bond with the Brahman and you are ready to actually become one with the Brahman, let me start the journey. At that time, you start doing what Bhrigu has done, and that way you can realize. So it doesn't mean Advaita doesn't mean that you should not pray. What it basically means is start working so that you can become one with the Brahman.
That's
Am I
a
making sense?
fascinating.
Sorry.
No, no, I was just saying the rituals and the upasanas, everything will help you to know more about understanding Brahman.
Yes. It does because there is a knowledge behind the Purva Mimamsa as well. Because the Purva Mimamsa itself was a school which, with the rites and the correct rituals, they were able to realize the divine. They had such powerful rituals that they could bring water. They had powerful rituals that they could bring anything, anything and everything. You know, they had such powerful rituals that a person came out of it and gave a this thing sweet, and queens ate it and they had drama as a child. The yajna, the Putra Kameshti yajna is part of the Purva Mimamsa school. Okay, and if you think about Ashwamedha Yajna, it's part of the Purva Mimamsa school. So we do Purva Mimamsa school all the time. We light lamp, we do things.
Yeah.
We don't actually say that, oh, inside me, in the soul is the divine, the Antaratma is the divine. So I'm going inside, so I won't light the lamp. Isn't it, Veena? Are you convinced?
Yes.
Veena does be convinced. Are you? Okay. So it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, I am.
So, coming to the Brahma Sutras that way, you have two techniques that the Brahma Sutras generally use. They do the objection technique where they say, no, 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 this is not that. No, 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 this is not that. Another is conclusion technique where, oh, this is it. This is Brahman. That's what I was telling about Bhrigu there, but that's from Taittiriya Upanishad. But in Brahma Sutras also they use it. Okay, and what do they normally talk about? They talk about body. In Brahma Sutras, in this one, body is called as Upadhi, so our encasement. Inside that is the Jivatma. And then the Brahma Sutra starts explaining the reality of the Jivatma. That is, the Jivatma is the Atma. It starts explaining that. So that's the reason why it's called as the ultimate vision of wisdom. So that's what Brahma Sutras was about. I will so Purva Mimamsa. Let me actually. I know it's time. I'll try and finish it. Purva Mimamsa is about Adhyato um, Dharma Jignasa. Dharma there is rites and rituals. So they used to do Adhyato Dharma Jignasa in their sutras. Brahma Sutras, they call it as Adhyato Brahma Jignasa. That is the journey towards the Brahman. There, the journey towards the Dharma of rites and rituals. So that's how it starts. And where does it start? It starts with yearning. And yearning to understand the nature of the Brahman. And that's where you see Parikshit. He had that particular yearning. And what are the qualifications? How can you get that yearning? Yearning to understand. Even actually, the first step of this is yearning to understand the Brahman. For getting the yearning, there are some qualifications. So it is not very easy. So it is not something that everybody is going to actually read. So that is the reason why I'm explaining all these things. So there are some, in that the qualifications, you have discrimination, you have viveka, you have vairagya. We will discuss this in detail in the next class. I think I have spoken a lot today, isn't it?
Okay, good.
Yeah, no.
So
Everything.
have a read through the material. I know it is a little bit more complicated when we go deeper and deeper into all these things, because I spoke about Vedanta Darshana and Sharirika Shastra. The words like Shastras nowadays are used very easily, but Sharirika means there is so much of research that has been made into our body, not just the gross form of the body, subtle and even the formless. That's the reason why such words have been used. But yes, carry on. Sorry, anybody wants to add anything before we close? Yes.
No, just want to say that it has been really so good that you explained right from the beginning. You went right into the source, the base, and that's what I didn't know much about that. So thank you very much.
I will share some material. Hopefully, I'll make some material and send it to you so that you can have a read through it as well. And it will be more beneficial that way. And then we will go into the qualifications of a jigyasa, like the person who yearns to know. He is called as a Jigyasa. And the interesting part is, if you see Parikshit, he was born Jigyasa that way. Jigyasa is a person who is yearning to know the Brahman. And when you think about it, without his knowledge or with his knowledge or without his knowledge, I don't know, but he was seeking to see the Brahman from the time he was born in this world. That is the reason why it's called Bhagavatam, because it's a God-loving person, the birth of the God-loving person. We spoke about Bhagwan and the Bhakta. It talks about that. And here, Parikshit takes the role of a Bhakta, the God-loving person. Sorry, Auntie, you wanted to add anything on? Geeta Auntie?
No. It's very interesting. Really enjoyed listening to it. Very, very interesting. Where does this by chanting all the Vishnu Sahasranamam or Lalita Sahasranamam, that is that for the concentration, that those upasanas?
So, the qualification for the yearning to realize the Brahman, I said you need some qualification. In that, you have six. There, this. So,
Okay.
first it starts with all the mantras and everything like that, all the things. Then it comes to renunciation, it comes to Viveka, Vairagya.
Oh,
Then
Viveka Vaidya.
all these things come. Okay, and equanimity and everything comes. Then you get the yearning to know the Brahman. After
Ultimate.
yearning to know the Brahman, then the first sutra comes. That is
Oh,
hereafter.
yeah.
Let's embark on the journey to understand the nature of the Brahman. So that's what Adhyato Brahma Jigyasa.
Yeah.
Because the stage where we come there is where we are
Okay.
Jigyasas. And then that's where the sutra starts.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So when you reach the stage to know the Brahman yearning, then you will have the sutras, and then you start understanding the journey through the
Understand
journey.
Brahman. And the final step is Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati, wherein the knower of the Brahman becomes one with the Brahman.
Oh,
With
that is just wonderful.
Brahman.
It is a little bit of a step with the thing. So that's the reason I was telling to Pravina as well. The first parts are not in any case, any way less importance, or it is not there. No, please don't take it in any way. Those parts are definitely there. There, Vishnu Sahasranamam, bhajans, everything should be there, and the love for the God should always be there. Then we are actually just going one step, one step, one step, and then we are going to Jigyasa. Then we are starting to
Yes.
understand the Brahman. But we can't take the bottom part lightly, because that forms the foundation for us to become the Jigyasa. Otherwise, we won't be a Jigyasa.
Yes.
And if we are not a
Yes.
Jigyasa, then we won't be actually reading the Brahma Sutras.
I like Bhrigu Maharshi going into different Vijnana Kosham, Jnana Kosham, Annamaya Kosham, everywhere looking for it. I really
Yes.
like that.
The same way, exactly. Exactly. That's a very good analogy.
Okay, thank you so much. So,
Okay, can we finish with
Sai Ram. Okay.
Om
Oh.
Shanti Shanti
Shanti,
Shanti.
Shanti, Shanti. Namaste Loka Sukhino Bhavantu.
Okay.
Sai Ram.
But okay,
Thank
let's
you.
Sai Ram.
sign off.
Thank you.
Sairam, everyone.
Sai Ram.
Sairam.
Sai
Bye.
Ram.
Bye.
Sai Ram. Bye.